Hello and welcome to another video with Maxwell's Virtual Aviation. I have tried to make a video for the past couple of weeks and just have been unable to do so. So you get this, an off-the-cuff, let's go fly the DC-3. So since my last video, a couple of things have happened. As you know, we were heavily Hercules-centric for a while there, but unfortunately some issues have happened with that aircraft that kind of make it a little less fun to fly, and we'll maybe talk about that once we're in the air. But needless to say, I've rediscovered my love of vintage flying and the Douglas DC-3. What caused that? Well, first of all is Red Wings US 1935. I used to be a huge Golden Wings fan back in the day, and I flew Golden Wings in FS9 for a very long time. I loved it. Loved it. Lots of hours in the DC-3. Well, I can relive those days again. Now, with US 1935. I have both cam routes installed. I'm going to start installing the other routes, the other airports. I'm having a lot of fun. I have rediscovered my love of flight simming because this is vintage flying at its finest. I'm not entering computer things. I'm not having to worry about air traffic control as much. I love it. This is the type of flying I like to do. So I'm going to bring you along. To this end, I've done a couple of things. First of all, I've started a new virtual airlines. We're on FS Hub. We are Ohio Valley Air Transport. You can find us on there. We primarily fly vintage aircraft, some of which are the default aircraft. Now, of course, I'm sitting in the DC-3. This is the Duckworks mod. Yes, I know that you don't need mods to fly the DC-3, which is true. But if you want to fly it better and you want to have more fun, just get the Duckworks mod. All right, I'm going to eat crow on that. Just get the Duckworks mod. So what we're going to do is we are doing a return flight from Toledo to Cleveland today for Ohio Valley Air Transport. I am running FS Hub's native ACARS system right now. I have checked in with dispatch, gotten my route, and our clearance. We are getting ready to go here. So what we're going to do today, we're going to walk through some of my checklists that I've written for this aircraft, do a little bit of role-playing because that's how I do this. And yeah, we're just going to get into it. So I'm going to play all the parts, and I'm going to try to be a little less self-conscious about how I enjoy playing Flight Simulator. So let's go. All right, Fred, let's get ready to go. It is an absolutely gorgeous day here, as we can see. Do a quick walk around. We are in this beautiful Douglas DC-3 mainliner. This aircraft actually was in Cleveland getting ready to do some maintenance. They needed to do a test flight. United was kind enough to let us borrow it. And that's how we ended up with this aircraft. So, absolutely gorgeous, classic United Airlines mainliner. I think we're ready to go. All right, so initial arrival checklist, if you please. So, battery cart. That's connected. Fuel selectors to main tanks. Oops, there's a main tank on that one and main tank on that one. All right. Hydraulic pressure greater than 400 psi. All right, move that. Open this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And hydraulic pressure is greater than 400 psi. All right, and let's see. Cowl flaps are in fact open. Propellers full forward, high RPM. Throttles are cracked. Mixtures in idle cutoff. Master ignition is on. Elevator trim checked 0. Cabin lights are not required, and automatic pilot course is set. Let's see what our course is going to be back. It's going to be 104. Going to come down here, and we are going to set 104. There's 100 and about there, I think. All right. Automatic pilot course is set. Initial arrival checklist is complete. We are loading from the left-hand side. That means we can start the right-hand engine. Before start checklist, if you please. Fuel quantity is checked. Main, AUGs, and AUGs. Flight controls. Left to right, forward, all the way over. flight controls are free and clear. Generators are both on, and anti-collision beacon is on. Before start checklist complete. Alright, we are going to start the right engine first and let that run for a while. Make sure I'm in a position where I can actually see that engine here. Alright. Make sure I can get to all of my switches here, which is kind of the game here. Still see the... Alright, there we go. Alright, ground clear. We'll verify clear. Clear! Fuel boost pump is going to come on. Energize. On for 10 seconds. Get that up to speed. And it'll be mesh for 12 blades. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 megs on and prime and fuel. And it sounds like we've got a start on the right. Just double check that, make sure it looks good. It does. It is warm out, so that helps a lot. Alright, jump back to that seat. Go ahead and turn that boost pump off. Monitor, make sure that we've got oil pressure is coming up, fuel pressure is coming up, and idling around. Now we've got fuel pressure, so we can bring that up to about 1,000 RPM. A couple of reasons why I like the Duckwork mod is the engines are exquisitely modeled. You have to let them warm up. They don't start well in cold weather, but they're not so hard that they're unstartable. I'm looking at you, Boeing 247, which we actually had in the airline, and I have removed it because I just don't think it's a very good aircraft. So I'm actually at a throttle setting that will eventually, there, see how that RPM starts coming up? This engine is starting to warm up. So again, it's little touches that are a lot of fun in this aircraft. All right, so now we are going to assume that our stewardess has come up, shut the doors, informed us of our passenger manifest. We're going to go ahead and shut those doors. There we go. And get ready to go. Alright, we are now going to start left engine. Pretty much the same starting checklist as before. Fuel boost pump is going to go ahead and come on. Energize left for a period of about 10 seconds. Super nice because, of course, it is warm out. It's actually August right now in the simulator. I'm picking perfect days to fly because I'm working on, especially my Toledo landings right now. And here we go, mesh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Mags to both and prime while I go to auto rich. And it sounds like we've got to start on number 1. Give it a little bit more throttle. Another thing that we have now is proper engine starting logic. There's a really cool video from Buffalo Joe about starting it. You follow what he does, and it'll start this aircraft in warm weather. It's so nice. We're going to check it. All right, RPMs are coming up. Oil pressure's coming up. We have fuel pressure. No smoke, no fire. That's always a good thing. Go ahead and shut these front windows. Alright, now, I'm going to jump outside real quick. So runway 22.4 is is right here. It runs in front of us from that white windsock to that white windsock. Now we landed 22 coming in, but you have to be aware this mound right here will get in your way when you try to taxi over it. So in order, you've got to come all the way up here in order to taxi to 22, which is where we're going to take off today. We are going to get ready to go, I guess. Here we go. Let's see, after start checklist. Fuel boost pumps are both off. Battery can go ahead and come on. Battery cart is disconnected. Radios can go ahead and come on. And altimeter set and check. That was the sound of me pulling up my keyboard to hit B to take care of my altimeter. After start checklist is complete. We are going to taxi here in a moment. Oh, I made the checklist that I'm using, by the way, for flying this aircraft. It's more of a memory check for myself when I'm flying. Though I'll link the website for the virtual airline, and on that website, if you want, you can find my checklist. All right, so before taxi, checklist. Doors are secure. Let's check this door back here. Cockpit door is secure. Tail wheel is unlocked. Exterior lights, we're going to go ahead and set those. Now, this is not a C-47, so we do not, in fact, have a passing light. But we'll turn on the position and the tail light on. Exterior lights are set, and chocks will be away. They make the symbol, and then you have to hit that and then make sure that you immediately go onto your brakes. Otherwise, you'll start rolling forward. So, we are going to pop our head up here. We need to go, let's see, over here somewhere. Where is that mound? So, right over here is where that is. I also have the cast-ring tail wheel, which if you join the Duckworks Discord, you can get the cast-ring tail wheel mod. And so you'll have to excuse it if it's a little bit erratic. I am still learning.
Kilo Tango Oscar 2 traffic fast mail 4 is taxiing to runway 22.
Fast mail 1 is Cleveland to Toledo. Fast mail 2 is Toledo to Detroit. Fast mail 3 is Detroit to Toledo, and fast mail 4 is Toledo to Cleveland. So, let us taxi into position. And we will do our before takeoff holding short checklist. So, brakes can go ahead and come off. A little bit of power here. The tail wheel is, there it goes. And there is our position. A little bit of brake to brake that. Gonna go ahead and lock that tail wheel so that we can roll towards the, yep. If you follow the blue arrows, you won't be able to because there's a hill right there. Now, in a lot of the literature that I've been reading to learn how to fly the DC-3 better, you don't use the brakes. I'm not that good yet. So I will use the brakes a little bit. But, by the same token, you want to keep that inner wheel rolling. You don't want to stop it completely. I'm running FS Realistic behind us, and that is where you hear the passengers. So we're going to come over here. And for the time being, we're going to call that holding short. Go over here. Yeah, we're going to call that holding short, and we'll do our hold short checklist. If you do not let your engines warm up and you go to full idle like I just did, they will die. Alright, we're going to go ahead and put our parking brake on. shut out a little bit of this motor noise. So in case you're wondering what it is that we are about to do, we're going to take off of 22. Our go, no-go speed and our takeoff speed is going to be the same. It's going to be 90 knots. We are going to use 1 notch of flap for this takeoff because it is a really short takeoff, and there is a railroad yard immediately after the runway. So we don't want to end up in that. So we will be taking off with 1 notch of flap. At 90 knots, we are going to get this thing off the ground. I'm going to signal gear up. Gear's going to come up. We're going to accelerate to 120 needle power, and we're going to head away from there. Anything should happen, we are going to immediately go into a right climbing turn and try to circle back and land again on 22. All right, let's do our run up. And stand them up. About 30 inches of manifold pressure. Right engine. Right. Both. Left. Both. Left engine. Right. Both. Left. Both. Get some oil into the prop hubs. Run up complete. At least that's how I do a run up. You're always listening to those engines, and there's nothing more embarrassing, A, than not doing your run up complete and killing one of your engines, and secondly is going to full idle and having one of your engines stop. Don't ask me how I know. Alright, so before takeoff, holding short checklist, please. Departure briefing is complete. Motor run up is complete. Hatches and windows are secure. Pitot heat is going to go ahead and come on. Cowl flaps can go to trail. Flaps as required. We are doing a quarter flap takeoff here. Boost pumps can go ahead and both come on. I'm going to jump outside and we're going to taxi into position. Again, I'm still working on it. Toledo, for the record, is probably the hardest runway that I come into. I've flown into Cambridge, which is a pretty difficult in a 3, and I've gotten some good landings. I just got my first perfect landing in Toledo today. It has been nothing but concerning landings. I'm just getting my landmarks down now to the point that I can land at this airport on the regular decently, so there we go. You'll notice right here, there is a light. It is lighted at night. I'm not there yet, but hopefully I will be. You can hear that our passengers are indeed enjoying themselves. We're actually going to do a bit of a straighten out as we take off. But what we're going to do now is our lined up landing lights are going to go ahead and come on. Tail wheel is going to be locked. I've got my point in the tree line that I'm aiming for. And we're going to stand them up 30 inches and double check everything here. Everything's in the green. Nothing seems to be amiss. Here we go. Using a little bit of brake to straighten us out. And takeoff power. 46 inches manifold pressure. Letting the tail come up on its own. I've got rudder control. Pushing on the stick to keep these wheels in contact. Here we go. There's the end of the runway. There's 80. Here we go. Positive rate, gear up. That was a 73 knot takeoff. And that is exactly why we take off with one notch of flap off of there. Alright, we've got a good rate of climb. We're looking for, we are not probably going to get anywhere near 120 right now. Up there's 100. We've got a minute before I need to come out into METO power. Climbing at a good 500 feet a minute right now. Alright, there's 120. We're going to go to METO power, which for me is just put everything into green. Alright, after takeoff checklist. Landing gear is up. Fuel boost pumps are off. Engine pump selector to gyro pilot. And climb power set, which for me is 35 and 2350. Well, 36 actually and 2350. Basically, I put it just above 35 and then I put my RPMs in the middle. Normally that gives me about 1,000 feet a minute, but I try to keep it around 700 to 800 on the climb out. And then I look for the beam. And by beam, I mean the magenta line. But I've really enjoyed USA 1935. It has been a great joy to fly, and it's just nice to get back into this world again. And this DC-3 has been fun too. Have a lot of time in the DC-3. In FS9, in FSX, and I'm starting to get more hours here in FS 2020. It's a great airplane, and it's only been made better. So this is us leaving Toledo. And I'm looking for the line. Now, we can do a more in-depth flight later. Follow with the cruise and the sped-up cruise and all of that. But you know what? I'm going to leave this segment here. And I will catch you guys on the landing. So, kind of a shorter video. But like I said, it's just off the cuff. And I wanted to put a video up. So, I will catch you guys in Cleveland. Join me as we pass over Cleveland International Airport. Now, I will admit there are a few things I did not take into account on this flight. One is that it is in fact summer, which means that the thermals are playing absolute havoc with my smoothness. Actually, Frid's flying the plane right now, so he's doing an alright job. But this bobbing and weaving has made 3 passengers sick. So if we look below us as we pass over here, we can take a look at Cleveland Airport. 24 Bravo and 24 Alpha. The terminal area is right there. The grandstand for the air races is over there. However, what this does mean is I need to take control from my co-pilot and get us back onto the ground safely. One of these days, we'll do the air race route in a DC-3. That might be entertaining and engaging and fun. But what do you say we try and get this thing on the ground, huh? I've got the aircraft. Go ahead and turn the gyro pilot off. We've done our descent checklist, so the majority of things we need to do are in fact complete. The biggest thing I need to do now is slow this aircraft down and prepare for landing. Now, I don't need to toot my own horn, but on a good day mind you, I can get this thing on the ground pretty well. I think I've got a system that I'll talk through as we do it that kind of enables me to put this thing on the ground in a decent fashion. Decent is nice because landing rate monitor, which we use to follow our flight, will tell me. If it's a bad landing, then you'll hear screaming. If it's a good landing, you'll hear applause. I like applause over screaming, although I've heard my share of screaming. So we're still at cruise pitch, and I've got 25 inches of manifold pressure in, which is our downwind power setting. You'll also notice that we're not really slowing down very much. Now what I'm looking for out this window is the city itself. Add some downward trim here. Generally what I like to do is when I'm coming in from the west is I'll circle the city, cross over or near Burke Lakefront, which did exist in 1935, but cross over or near Burke Lakefront and search for my airport then. It is not as easy to find when you don't have the flashing beacons telling you where the airport is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to the beeper now. And just fly a really wide arc. So there's downtown Cleveland there. We are currently operating under the classic, if I make it, then my passengers will make it, and I want to make it, so. Trim my throttles a bit there. I did notice on my takeoff, because I was trying to talk to you and not my co-pilot, my flaps stayed down, which is why our acceleration was awful. We did have plenty of lift, although we also had plenty of drag, so. Alright, our speed's starting to come down a little bit. That's what I'm hoping for. Now, US 1935, of course, isn't perfect, but what it does do is give the general feel of the period. And honestly, that's fine. There are the rail yards below us. Sure, there are a few sports stadiums that didn't exist, but if you've never seen the 1935 Cleveland Airport, for those of you who flew Golden Wings, still fly Golden Wings, it is like a breath of fresh air. I teared up a little bit on saying it because I spent a lot of my growing up virtual airline life flying in and out of 1935 Cleveland, and it was so good to see it again. It was, to a point, literally like coming home. I don't know how else to say it. It was pretty cool. I'm resting my hands on the throttles, and well, that's what you hear. So there's Burke Lakefront in front of us. And we are just going to kind of circle here. I have something that puts recreational boats in the water, and as we fly over the waterfront, you'll see them below us, and it just adds a little bit, you know? Alright, that is low enough. We're at pattern altitude now. Let's take a look at Cleveland here. There's the city I fly in and out of all the time. There's the stadium. Didn't exist in 35, but you know what? I'm okay with that. It is very thermally about there. You can see the boats popping in and out. Alright. We're going to go ahead and go gear down. Gear down. Light is green. Pressure up. I got a wheel. Now the fun part of finding the airport, which is over here a little bit. I'm normally just a little short on that. There are some schools of thought that give you full pitch, high RPM as you land. I am not of that school of thought. We're going to go ahead and do that now. FS Realistic gives me that vibration as our props cut in. And I'm going to go ahead and ask for a 1/4 notch of flap. Alright. Now with the fun part, where I have to zoom in to try to find our landing field here. It's over here somewhere. I see it. Field in sight. With field in sight, we can run our field in sight checklist. Here we go. Landing gear is down. Fuel boost pumps can go ahead and come on. Cowl flaps are going to go ahead and go open. Props full forward, high RPM. Carb heat is cold and off. Flaps as required. Automatic pilot is off, and that is the engine pump selector is in the takeoff position. We're looking for 90 knots on our approach, and again, there's just a lot of zooming in, trying to see the airport, figure out where our runways are. So there they are right there. Alright. We'll be looking for 90 knots on approach. We're going to go to 3/4 flap here in a moment, which was standard practice from what I can understand. So in addition to reading Ernest Gann's classic Fate is the Hunter, which if you're interested at all in vintage airline flying, it's probably one of the best books out there for it. I also recently read North Star Over My Shoulder by Bob Buck. That is also a contemporary of Gann's, flying the same aircraft in roughly the same area for a different airline. So if you're at all interested in this period of history and these aircraft and things, those are two that you definitely want to take a look at. All right. So there's this row right here. That is where 24 Alpha is. So we're at 100 knots. So what I like to do in this aircraft is once I get it configured, try to keep 90 knots. And I think the most important thing, at least for me when I'm landing, is making sure that I let the airplane settle on its own. If I try to force it at all, it never ends well. The chief mechanic always gets mad at me because I've bent something. So there's no guarantee with the camera on that I'm going to be able to do any better today. But we're going to try. All right, give me 3/4 flap. According to Captain Buck, most of the landings he did were 3/4 flap because full flap didn't give them any more. So, we are already, we need to start descending here. Our speed's good, but our rate of descent is not. Alright, double check gear down, flaps down, cowl flaps open, boost pumps on, landing lights are on. Oh, I should probably tell them that I'm landing, huh?
Cleveland Traffic Fastmail 4 is on final runway 24 Alpha to land.
I generally tune in my radios. Oh, you will also notice that I'm not coming in correctly on this runway because I misread it. I mean, we'll still do it. It's just gonna have a really hard turn on final. Oh well. Speed's good. Descent's good. Here we go. It's hard to read. I'm still learning where all my runways are because I don't have a big flashy light to tell me where they are. So speed is really important, but you want to let the airplane just settle on its own. So now that I've got it set, I can see my runway there. There's 90 knots right where I want it. Flaps are good. 90 knots right where I want it. We're going to straighten out just a little bit here. Again, we want to approach at 0 angle at about 80 knots and just let her settle down on her own. Cut the power, but try to... someone, I was watching a video and they just said, you know, pretend like you're going to hold it a foot off the ground. And that has really kind of been the secret I've discovered to getting this on the ground. We'll see if I can do it here with the camera on. So we're going to get close to the ground and then we're just going to hold it about a foot off the ground as long as we can. Speed's good. There's the white windsock indicating the end of the runway. Here we go. We're going to do our best to just hold it about a foot off the ground here. Foot off the ground here. That was a firm landing. Engines to idle, on the brakes. That wasn't my best landing ever, but there was no, I dropped the tail. There was no, let's see, get that off. There's a lot going on in this airplane when you're doing stuff like this, by the way. It is a 2-person airplane, and flying it as a 1-person is not necessarily easy. Whew. Alright. Put that tail wheel lock back on. Flaps can go ahead and come up. Landing lights are off, and boost pumps can go ahead and come off. Alright, there we go. And we'll taxi over here to the terminal here. So welcome to 1935 Cleveland Airport. We're gonna park appropriately, which if you've ever seen photos, I'll put a photo here of what it looked like. I love it. The DC-3s, there's a engine being worked on over there. Don't mind the guys in high-vis. They're just, you know, there. Now the real secret that I'm working on is you don't stop once you taxi, and you just bring it to a gliding stop like a train, basically. See that group of people by the baggage cart? You want to stop opposite them. Kind of like that. Go ahead and put our parking brakes on. Turn our motors off. We'll open our doors. Welcome to Cleveland. I don't know where we're going to take the channel with this, but I'm going to do a lot more content involving this aircraft and this airline because I really enjoy it. And I really want to get back to producing content again. I like sharing this with people who wish to enjoy this. We're going to run our flow real quick. And I just flow to turn everything off. There is a certain amount of state saving with this. I asked on the forums So certain things will stay on. We'll deploy that real quick. Turn that off. Then we flow this way. Gear is up. These switches can go back to off. Fuel is off. Fuel is off. Off. There we go. And actually, I can actually go ahead now and close these. In reality, I'd let the engines idle for a while, but... And we're going to shut the windows, even though it's blisteringly hot outside. And I think that takes care of getting this ready for another crew. That's off, that's off, that's off. Did that. All of these are off, which is good. We can go ahead and disconnect the battery cart. Open the crew door. And we'll pop outside. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. 1935 Cleveland. It is incredibly cool. I'm really enjoying this. It's been a really good time, and I'm going to do a lot more of it. So I'll throw a link to my virtual airline down below if you want to come join us and just kind of fly around with me. Until next time, I guess this is it, and we'll try to do a more polished video next time.